Well, a lot of things were different about this draft. And when Commissioner Roger Goodell did the wardrobe change out of the jacket to the sweater, Jerry Jeudy got him to get in there, do a little TikTok, a little dance, and I'd say way above average moves for the commissioner. I think that was better than we thought it would be. It's better than I would do, that's for darn certain. But it was a weekend to laugh at ourselves a little bit more. John Elway drafted the wide receiver, got the commissioner to make those moves. John, could you ever get Roger Goodell to do something like that?
Probably not. By no means. I think obviously it's very special times at different times right now. So I think that's why those type of things happen. But you're right. I thought he had a little rhythm to him.
Better than I thought. Hey, you said we'll talk about Denver's draft and all that stuff here in a minute. In Peter King's column yesterday, I thought you were pretty strong about Peter. Make sure you quote me here about Roger Goodell and the foresight and the leadership that he showed to pull this draft off. Can you share with the folks what your sentiments were?
Well, I think that obviously it was a very tough situation that we're in right now, going through tough times. And so, I think Commissioner Goodell had a vision of what he wanted to have happen and to continue to put this draft on so people could kind of enjoy a little bit of, some live television, and the draft has gotten to be such a big thing. And so I think that, he held to his guns. He had a lot of people shooting arrows at him, but he held to his gun, and he's had the foresight to see that this was going to be something that, football fans needed out there, wanted to watch, but also that we could also come together and put it and make it work. And so our IT people were the heroes there, but I really commend Commissioner Goodell for, sticking to his guns because it came off great.
Let's talk about what you guys did in the draft. And you go with wide receivers right there at the top in Jerry Jeudy and then KJ Hamler from Penn State, who a lot of folks liked as well. You found what you hope is going to be your quarterback in Drew Lock. And were you going into this draft saying we are going to find a way to support him and get some speed on the field here?
We were. I mean, that was a goal of ours. We didn't know exactly how the front side of the draft was going to fall for us in the first round. So it was a goal of ours and the game plan that we had. If it didn't work in the first round, we're definitely pinpoint one in the second round. And then when it worked in the first round, our second rounder was still there in KJ Hamler too. So it was something that we knew offensively we have to step it up. We have to get more explosive on the offensive side. And so it was our game plan, and our goal is to go in this year and give Drew Lock some help and get some people around him to where we get more explosive. And we've been putting a lot of pressure on our defense since we won the Super Bowl back in 2015. And so we, with Drew and the year that he ended last year in his last 5 starts, to be able to put some explosiveness around him, and feel like we were able to do that.
It's your 10th year as head of football operations, and we always lean back right away of your evaluations of quarterbacks because of the Hall of Fame level you played the position at. But how much does your quarterback experience help you as you evaluate wide receivers? Because nobody threw to them with as much success as you did over the years.
Well, I mean, I think that helps because you know what you like personally and what obviously playing for a long time, that the characteristics that you like in football players. And so I think that with Jerry being there in the first round, we met with him at the combine, liked his mentality, the way he goes about playing the game, and he's a team guy, and so was a guy that we had pinpointed. Fortunately, that he was there, but there's no question. I think having an idea of what you like throwing to, plus we have Cortland Sutton already here, and we needed something to take some pressure off him and be able to stretch it and soften those zones. And so that was why get somebody on the other side and then get somebody to run through the end of the end zone. Through the zones. And so, and that's what KJ could do. And plus, Albert O, I still haven't learned how to say his last name yet, but he's a big guy from Missouri that Drew played with is coming here. And I talked to Drew about him, and he really liked him, and he's a big guy that can, he's under 4.5 also. So we were into, finding football players that could play to the speed and play good at the speed that they ran, and we knew they were. So
Simeon, Lynch, Osweiler, Keenum, Flacco, we know you guys have tried after Peyton to get the quarterback. What'd you see in that 4-1 stretch of the last 5 with Drew Lock that made you feel good about the future of the position?
Mike, the way that he went about his business, that didn't really affect him. I think a lot of times, when the eyes, the eyes get big and they start looking kind of, where am I? And they seem to be affected by the magnitude of the NFL. But you know what? He Drew did not do that at all. He took it on. He played with confidence, and enjoyed it out there and ran around. And he had all the physical talent. You just never know how they're going to handle going into the game mentally. And I think that he's done a tremendous job, and the guys rallied around him and really believe in him. So I think that we've got something in Drew that we can really build on. Obviously, he still has a ways to go. He's only started 5 games. He was on IR for 10 weeks before that last year. So, this offseason is going to hurt him a little bit because we haven't been able to get in there. But, a guy that we really feel like has a chance to be a good football player in this league for a long time.
I've had the pleasure of covering you for a while, and one of the joys of doing our Football Night in America show is going to interview executives or coaches or players. And I had a chance to talk to you in Denver before a Broncos Sunday night game, and I'll never forget you talking about how there's still a desire after all those years to be the guy on the field when it's 2 minutes left and it's a 2-minute drill, how that adrenaline still pumps. How much of a outlet, a valve, a release has it been to be in all these situations where you've got to make these decisions, whether it's the draft or free agency, to be this close to football? Has that helped in any way take a little bit of that edge of a player back to this next role as an executive in the NFL?
It does, because there is a scoreboard on Sunday afternoons for me. And so I get to be on a team, and part of a team that there's a scoreboard there. So there's no question that's part of it. My dad being a coach when I was young, there was always scoreboards in the fall on the weekends. And so you never got used to being away from that. But I think that, I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I think having been the amount of time that I played helps me in the position. But as we talked about, Mike, there's nothing like playing quarterback in the NFL, and because you have the ball in your hands all the time. So even though you have more control outside the lines in this position, you have so much less control inside the lines, because as a quarterback, you used to get to touch the ball all the time. So, but if there's anything close to being able to replace that, it's being a GM in this league.
You're seeing a really good one twice a year in Patrick Mahomes right there in your division, and took Kansas City to the Super Bowl. You talk about adding speed with your group. How much of what you're seeing those guys do and the way you're seeing offense evolve right now around the NFL has impacted the way that you're trying to mold the Broncos here for 2020 going forward?
Well, I think a lot of it, because the game is changing so much, and it's changed over the time. These young guys are coming out of the college, and they're such great athletes at the position, and they're playing a wide open game in college. And so I think you're seeing that influence what's coming into the NFL, because that's what they know and that's what they're comfortable doing. And I think you're seeing coaches that adjust to that and taking advantage of what they do. So it's going to be there for a while, and I think that the days of 3 yards in a cloud of dust are behind us. But that's why you have to be explosive on the offensive side and be able to put some points on the board, especially with Patrick Mahomes in our division, as well as the Raiders are coming on, and now the Chargers have drafted Herbert too. So we're going to have a heck of a battle in the AFC West.
Yeah, AFC West is going back to the 60s and 70s a little bit. I'm smiling and laughing as I hear you talk about this, John. I'm trying to think how many yards you would have put up if the passing game of now met John Elway of John Elway's golden days of the early 80s. Can you imagine?
I know. It sure would have been fun. Throwing around like they throw it around. And plus, they get protected a little bit more now than they used to, too. So there's a couple more aches and pains that I have that they might not have have now. But, it's still a great game. Still proud to be a part of it, and nothing better.
You were one of the guys honored as the top 100 in NFL history. When you saw that collection of guys, what was it like to be a part of that?
Mike, I really can't even tell you how great it felt. I think that, to be able to come in the NFL and want to be the best player that you can be. And then when I look at that list, especially the quarterbacks, and look at all those guys on that list, Roger Staubach was a guy that, was my hero and I looked up to when I was growing up and wanted to be like, and his game was a lot like my game, and my game was like his game, I should say. And so, just to be able to be there, Joe Montana, Brett Favre, Danny Marino and I, we competed against each other since we were in college. And so all those guys on that list. And so for me to be just a part of those 10 quarterbacks, it was truly, unbelievable. It's right there behind winning the couple of those Super Bowls. But you know what? There's not a better thought process when it comes down to guys that you're associated with there when it comes down to the NFL and the history of the NFL.
And that gathering before the kickoff of the Super Bowl, that was something to see all the guys on the field, but especially the quarterbacks, because, we all live and die by you guys. You define eras, not just in your teams or in your conference, but in the game. And to see all the guys there was just something special. It just kind of took our breath away. I can't imagine what it was like for everyone there.
You know what, Mike? And that's when it finally hit home because, we'd all been elected to the team, but really hadn't had a chance to be around each other. And so many times we don't get time to spend around each other. So, to be there. And then I think that's when the realization of the impact really kind of came home, and the fact that, wow, this is really, really something special. And to see all them around and be able to get to talk to everybody was, really something that I'll never forget.
Hey, thanks for a few minutes. I got a chance to see Vic Fangio, your coach, at the scouting combine. 7-9 with a lot of close calls and a lot of fourth quarter leads. Lost some games in the last play, so feels like the Broncos are going in a great direction here. We're excited to see all the talent around your new quarterback. And thanks for a few minutes, John. Always great catching up with you.
Great catching up, Mike. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.